doing out there? Welcome to a Word Hole Media presentation of Major League A-Holes. I'm Pete.
I'm Ryan. You are in the hole with Major League A-Holes, episode 164. I hope people are watching this on YouTube or Facebook, or because Pete's got
that's right, baby.
His original Chicago White Sox basketball jersey, which is going to be a large topic of today's show, as the White Sox have revealed their new City Connect 2.0s. We'll see what I'm not sure what your opinion is. You clearly like the basketball jersey. This is the White Sox have taken it to another level. So we'll see where you land on it. I know where I land on it, but that'll be later in the show. We've got to talk about your first place Giants, tied for first in the NL West. We've got to talk about my Detroit Tigers, who are now the best team in the American League. And I was actually there to witness their glory on Saturday, the first part of a doubleheader sweep. We've got the Cubs to talk about, who are leading their division, the NL Central, but there's some bombshell news that came out over the weekend as they failed against the Phillies at home. Some news came out, a couple of different tidbits from the Phillies side of things that might shed some light on where the Cubs are right now or where they could have been. But then we have failed this entire season to remember one of our favorite segments from previous years, our badass of the week. So we're going to go ahead and do a badass of the month, a giant badass of the month, because we have so many, all three of our teams are excellent and have incredible offensive performances and some solid pitching as well. So we've got a giant list to go through. So we'll cram that all together into a badass of the month. So I think with that, we might as well go ahead and jump into the news.
Yeah, the fucking Giants are continuing their campaign of shock and awe.
Shock and awe.
That they are in first place in the NL West, tied with the Dodgers in a 1.5 lead over the Padres. But, you got to ask yourself a question about the Giants. Are they lucky? Is it just are they the most timely team possibly to start the season in baseball history for when they decide to hit? Because every sign right now from the last podcast we did to now is regression. They were top 5 in like every major statistical category when we last spoke. They still are high in like right at the top. They're at the top in defense, but once you take defense out, they've fallen out of the top 10 in every major statistical category. Offensively, even like ERA and stuff like that. It's not like they're world beaters. One thing they do though very well is their pitching staff is tied for third best in home runs allowed at 22. So they what I think they've been able to do thus far is score just enough runs, and we'll get to that in a second. And, fucking minimize the damage. They don't let up the big fucking home run to break the game wide open. Now, all that being said, I'm going to go back to what I said last podcast. We're going to finally get some, get a measuring stick. They're playing the Padres starting tonight. So we're going to see how that goes. They haven't played the Dodgers yet, so we don't know how that's going to go. So it'll be interesting to see once they start playing teams like that, what they're going to be like. I mean, it's like in stark contrast. I think they've played like a ton of teams who are basically below 500, right? In contrast to the Cubs, whose first series against the Pirates is going to be against a team who has a record that's under 500, which is insane. And they're in first place in the division. So they could easily, we could be completely wrong in this one, Smitty. Unbeknownst to us, they could be the team that everyone, all the predictions were at the beginning of the season, and they can just blow this NL Central out of the water. I mean, more to come probably when we get to the Cubs section, but
we'll get there.
But like the fact that they've held their own, so to speak, against a very good slate of teams, mostly playing West Coast, the NL West, and the Giants Cubs matchup starts next Monday, May 5th, here at Wrigley. So I may work my way out there, but
very cool.
the thing about the Giants team is that's incredible to me, and you brought it up, is 5 of their 19 wins, which accounts for 26%, which 26% sounds a lot better than 5, but have been in the last at bat 2 over the weekend. Now,
walk-off wins. Yeah, I did the math. You've got 19 wins. 5 of those were walk-offs. So yeah, it turns out to like 26.3% of your victories are walk-offs, which is fucking nuts.
It is. And the craziest was the third game, the Sunday afternoon game against the Rangers, when Helio Ramos hits what should have been an out that gets thrown away. And as he's going into second, he notices they're having trouble getting the ball back in from the outfield. So he takes off for third, which then that ball gets thrown away, and he gets what is really qualified as, and I think they penned it perfectly, a little league home run. Yeah. And let me tell you, I've seen probably 300 little league games since Kelly's been in baseball. Yeah. And yes, I have seen that home run take place at least 100 times. It is, I don't count it as a home run. I count it as a bunch of errors, but the kids think it's a home run, and it didn't matter what you count it as. They won the fucking game because of it.
Yeah. Jesus.
So I think the biggest thing what the Giants have right now is they believe, right? They have something, that you can't always get from a team when you bring in a bunch of parts from the outside and they're playing together for the first year and they look great on paper and then they fall flat on their face. This is a team that's been together for a few years now. And I just feel like part of the reason they're doing as well as they are is there's a good vibe in the clubhouse. Melvin's a good manager. He knows how to deal with the players, and it's just this really positive vibe. And there's enough talent there to get the job done. Again, I'm skeptical. If they take 2 out of the 3 from the Padres, then I'm going to start leaning towards maybe we got something special here. But like I said, every with the rest of the league, they have, as more games have been accounted for now, they are regressing. They are falling statistically towards the middle, where even though the Dodgers are tied with them, they're easily 10 spots better in probably just about every major category except home runs allowed. An ERA, they're probably only like 4 or 5, but still, like there's just, even the Padres too, when you're looking at things statistically, you're like, it just doesn't add up that they're in first place right now. But It's baseball. This is why we watch this fucking game, because it's maddening. It's maddening as a fan. It's probably even more maddening as a fucking manager of a team. But like there's things you can't account for that happen every day in a baseball game.
Well, I think you mentioned that Cubs series is going to kind of be a reckoning almost. We'll see what's real about the Giants, or maybe what's real about the Cubs, even though Cubs have had the gauntlet to go through all playoff or above 500 teams.
Yeah. So we'll obviously be covering that next week on this podcast. So
yeah, you should definitely go if you can. I would get my ass over to Chicago if I could, but I'll be in Texas next weekend. And
really? Going to Texas, going to a Rangers game?
No, I will not be. I'm actually going to a soccer game, which is weird. But yeah, Canopy moved there a couple of years ago, so I'm going down to visit them.
Oh, you're going to Austin, right?
I'm going to Austin, yeah. I'm going to Austin FC game Saturday night. So
you'll have to send me some pictures of the good fucking barbecue you're eating.
Yeah, that's on the list.
You got a special spot you're going to hit?
I don't know. I'm sure he's got ideas, but I know nothing about Austin, so I'm not sure anyone listening to this podcast gives a shit about any of that either.
Well,
my travel plans.
I just want to warn you of one thing. Watch out for the Texas chili runs,
Oh boy. Yes, I will. Is that it for your Giants? Or?
That's it. Head on over to Detroit, Rock City.
We were just talking about the Cubs. So I'm going to call an audible here. Might as well just go right into the Cubs if you don't mind.
Talk about the Cubs. Don't mind, whatever.
You may or may not be witnessing their glory next week, but Cubs are. I mean, like you said, they've run a gauntlet. There's 17-12, but their record is all based on teams that they've played that are all above 500, or last year's playoff teams, or teams most everyone picks to make the playoffs. So it's kind of amazing what they've accomplished. A lot of people are saying, and I myself included, is if they got through the month of April with around 500, that would be a successful start to the season. And they're 5 games over at this point. So very remarkable, impressive. What's even more impressive is that they're getting this done with a terrible bullpen that has blown many leads, but it hasn't cost them too many wins. They also have a depleted rotation, of course, with the loss of Justin Steele. They really haven't missed a beat until this past weekend when the Phillies came to town and took 2 out of 3. And that was kind of a reckoning. Like, things kind of caught up with them. It was also interesting. A lot of off the field stuff came out over the weekend as well with the Phillies in town. I believe it was Patrick Mooney from The Athletic interviewed Bryce Harper, who revealed that back in his famous free agency before the 2019 season, the Cubs indeed were his number 1 choice to spend the rest of his career on the north side of Chicago. I'm sure you remember, we were kind of reading tea leaves and social media posts where he would post pictures of his dog, which just happened to be named Wrigley. So we're reading into that. Oh, he wants to come to the Cubs. Or his childhood best friend is Chris Bryant. It was exactly the case. Like, everything. I don't remember if you bought into that or making fun of me for reading into that, but I won't accuse you of that because I don't remember, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Probably, I think it was a little bit of both,
okay.
Like saying all signs point to yes, but come on, is it Theo at the Starbucks again? Oh, wait, he actually was there.
You love that. You'll never get over that.
Since I got called out on it by the actual person, I will never let it go. It'll be ingrained in my memory forever. I still do not apologize to you, sir.
I just love that the guy actually sought you and us out to demand an apology. Like, I'm not sure how we got on your radar, sir, but sorry, no apology here. But
anyway,
who should be apologizing is Tom Ricketts. Again, and this is just another example of his cheapness has cost the Cubs. Tom Ricketts was actually interviewed a couple weeks ago, and somehow Bryce Harper came up, and he said yes, he and Theo had long discussions about if they should sign Bryce Harper before the 2019 season, before he actually did sign a 13-year, $330 million deal. Takes him through the 2031 season. So those numbers actually sound pretty cheap at this point compared to everything that's happening now. Would have been a bargain. The bigger question is, what would that have done for the 2019 Cubs, 2020 Cubs? After the 2018 season, Theo famously came out and said the Cubs offense was broken. They didn't understand what was happening after coming off 3 consecutive NLCS appearances and a World Series. By 2018, the offense was broken, and how their calculus didn't include the idea that Bryce Harper might be a solution to that broken offense, I don't know. Clearly, the concern was the contract, the amount of money that they were going to have to spend, and the years committed to. The years is interesting, and it was certainly mind-boggling at the time. 13 years. I don't remember if anyone had signed a longer deal at that point. That only takes him to his age 38 season. So it's not as outrageous as it sounded at the time. All the contracts or long-term deals we're talking about now take players into their 40s.
Yep.
So signing Bryce Harper when he was 26 years old for $330 million would have been a bargain. And I always bring up the sliding doors of history, how things could have changed, like what that would have done for the Cubs in 2019 and beyond is just, I mean, it's tough to even think about, like what could have happened instead of their epic failures through those years. So I don't know, we wouldn't even have Kyle Tucker today if Bryce Harper was in the outfield. So that's part of it. But I think the main benefits of having Bryce Harper in those years is what could have been with those 2019 and 2020, 21 teams that failed. So just a frustrating, consistent piece of news, I guess, filling in parts of history that show this is the path the Cubs have been on for a long time. Things I've been railing against for the last couple years, several years. That started well before the pandemic, well before biblical losses seemed to have kicked off the cheapness of Ricketts. The signs were there before, and we didn't necessarily know about them. I would also, with this news, suggest that may have been the breaking point for Theo Epstein. And when he knew his boss was not going to give him the resources he needed to go over the top to win another World Series, he may have decided, I'm out. I don't need to do this if my boss isn't as committed to this as I am. And that's speculation, but I think there's some logic behind it, as he did abruptly quit the next year, a year before his 10-year deal was up. So I don't know. I think that idea is plausible, at least, and it's just frustrating and annoying and consistent, I guess, that this is all comes down to Ricketts and what he is willing to spend. Also, just thinking, forward from this, I think it's just another check in the negative category on what the possibilities are for the Cubs to sign Kyle Tucker long term.
None.
Yeah, I mean, the money's there, as we talk about every time. He is the player. He is doing this right in front of everyone, right in front of Tom Ricketts' face, which is funny. I just saw a thing on social media where people are isolating photos of Ricketts in the front row while Kyle Tucker's up to bat. And you just see him like side by side, like, make a decision, boys. Let's do this or get the fuck out. So it's a harbinger of more negativity, I fear. The other piece of news, frustrating news that came out this weekend with the Phillies in town, was that their current star, Jesus Luzardo, famously with the A's years ago, traded to the Marlins, but of course he is the Jesus Lizard, as we affectionately refer to him as. The Cubs were in negotiations apparently this offseason to trade for Jesus Luzardo, and Jed Hoyer nixed the deal due to health concerns. I guess the medical report revealed a few issues that they were not comfortable signing him or trading for him. The team that was not uncomfortable was the Phillies, who are now enjoying his 1.73 ERA in 6 starts, 41 strikeouts over 36 and a third innings.
Terrible.
His 1.073 whip. I think he's got a 1.6 WAR already. Those things would look rather nice in the Cubs rotation that we talked about over the offseason. Needed more depth, and they did not do it. They were risk-averse. The risk-averse Jed Hoyer, once again, would not pull the trigger on a deal that could be helping them infinitely today. Not just with hindsight, with Justin Steele being out. We talked about it before. I didn't know that Luzardo was on their radar, but he was, and they just wouldn't fucking do it. So we'll see. The Cubs have certainly overachieved at this point. I mentioned earlier the bullpen is they've done all this despite their shaky bullpen. They've done this despite their thin rotation. Those are things that seem like aren't sustainable. Having an offense, you can't count on an offense that's going to score 10 runs a game like they've been doing, or 10 runs an inning if they have to. So it's amazing. Those 2 stories came out this weekend as the Cubs really had their first poor series. That's all I've got for the Cubs, unless you had comments about my thoughts on that.
Yeah, it seems to be a thing with the medical report on Jesus Luzardo and Chicago teams, because I believe he was rumored. He was one of 2. I think Frankie Montas was the other A's pitcher that the Sox, when they were in their window, as we can chuckle about that term now, they were going to go after. And I believe Rick Hahn commented that they just didn't like the medicals on Jesus Luzardo to pull off a trade to bring him to the South Side. So I guess Chicago medical staffs don't like what they see on his charts. However, on the field, they seem to be just fine. So just wanted to bring that up, because I do remember he was rumored to be coming to the South Side, or back to the South Side, I think. Wasn't he drafted by the White Sox originally, or something crazy like that?
You've drafted lots of great players that are no longer with the roster, so
yeah,
it's hard to know.
They really have a great assessment of talent over there. I guess speaking of over there, we might as well get over there.
It's a pretty good segue by yourself. You didn't even know you were doing it. Nice.
Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. I am the segue master, White Sox.
You're the master of something.
White Sox. Go White Sox. Yeah, so White Sox, 7 wins right now. Believe it or not, that's above last year's pace still. They are 6 games ahead of last year's pace to their 7th win. So,
and you're not even the worst team in the majors right now. You've got the Colorado Rockies at least below you. I don't know.
4 wins. They are below the White Sox pace of last year. They may break the record again. Seriously, folks. They only have 4 wins. The Sox had, I think, 6 wins at this point last year. They had more than 4 though. So, wow. Yeah, the Rockies are could be a new level of suck this year, especially in the division they play in. Holy shit. I mean, they could pull a big goose egg in that division. Anyway, it is nice on the power rankings. The Sox are 29 now after starting the year off 30. So we are not the worst power ranked team also anymore.
We should restart our power rankings segment. Although our teams are kind of all in very different places. So at one point we were all rooting for like who was the worst 5 teams in the majors. And we had several candidates amongst the 5 teams we care about. But.
Exactly. We've had some pretty dark years on this podcast recently.
We'll have to workshop that idea if we're going to resurrect that. But I digress. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, the White Sox are so watchable right now, but because they've turned into a watchable, not just completely terrible team. Yes, their offense does need a lot of work, but despite still being the 30th ranked offense, their OPS is up over 50 points from it was the last time we talked. So,
wow.
So is the other leagues trending up, I guess, too. But while they're still in last in OPS, they are better. So, that being said, a lot of things have gone as I thought. Rookie pitching, the pitching staff in the bullpen and on starters are a lot of young pitchers, and they've had great games and they've had not so good games. It's been consistently inconsistent, except for probably Shane Smith, who we'll get to in a little bit. But the thing that has happened as a White Sox fan, as you look at this team and you see they can win ball games and they can actually, I'm sure they've already scored double digits 3 times this year. That's probably more than they ever did last year in the entire season. I haven't looked that up, but it's got to be pretty close, if not tied, more than they did last season. It's they're becoming frustrating now. And the Oakland series was a great. If you want to talk about frustrated White Sox fan, you kept saying frustrated with the Cubs. Frustrated White Sox fan right here. They lost the opener 6-5, 1 run. They almost mounted the comeback in the top of the 9th to at least send it to extras and just came up short. They blow them out 10-3 in game 2. Like Robert had a home run. They have a bunch of home runs. It was great. Then we go to Sunday. There is Sunday's game, and the Sox in Oakland go to extras, and the Sox take a 3-2 lead. They actually took the lead in extra innings, something they could not do at all last year under the tutelage of Pedro Grifol. He would just flush it after they lost. And then Jordan Leisure comes in, and it was almost like, I'm going to nerd out here. I'm going to go to MLB, the show. And it was almost like the guy was controlling Jordan Leisure, and he kept hitting the button at the wrong timing. So the pitch would just go straight down the middle. Cause that's exactly why the Sox lost the fucking game, because he grooved a fucking fastball with the runner on, and it was a no-doubter. And it's like that kind of shit just can't happen. I mean, are they going to win the division? No. Are they going to be 500? No. But like stuff like that, you can't be missing your spots that much and be pitching in the major leagues, no matter how bad your team is. And it was frustrating to see. They fought back, they got it tied, they took the lead, and then just coughed it up 2 batters later. I mean, even the batter, I can't remember who was up first, but even the pitch that he made an out on was like, I just think he didn't expect the pitch to be right down the fucking middle, and ended up flying out and getting the runner to third. But I mean, it just was so disappointing and frustrating to see them come up just short all weekend long. And you know, that's all I have to say. It's fun. I'm happy. I'm happy though. I'm happy overall because I go and I want to turn on a White Sox game this season. So that is something new for me, because I did not want to turn a White Sox game on last season. Yes, I would go to the park to see a game, because who doesn't love going to the field, to go to a ballpark, no matter how bad your team is, to watch a game. But turning a game on was not in my repertoire last year. And again, like I brought this up last time, when you look at like the projected wins, the White Sox should be 11-17 according to StatCast. They're playing well enough to be better than what they are. They're just not able to close the door on it. So, well, now it's time to get to my favorite segment of the show regarding the White Sox: aesthetics.
Yes. Wow. Yes. Your City Connect 2.0 uniforms were revealed yesterday and will be on the field this weekend.
Is it
May 2nd? Yeah, I think it's probably
2nd,
Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday.
Friday or Saturday, yeah.
Yeah, the Chicago White Sox Bulls will be on the field
yeah,
this Saturday. Interesting thing, Smitty. Like, this is what I had partially kind of anticipated. Not all elements of it, but was a partial anticipation I had for 1.0 because of Reinsdorf.
Sure. I think I remember you saying that too, and you are wearing the example of the Chicago White Sox basketball jersey from 3 years ago.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, the giveaway. I wore this in honor of the new City Connect 2.0 jersey. The what is sure to probably be a huge moneymaker, and we're gonna see it probably coming out all over MLB now if this is a success. Because there's a lot of cities that have big basketball history with championships. Boston, Dodgers with the Lakers.
Yeah,
we could see a lot. I mean, the Pistons in Detroit, but you got the Red Wings, which is historic too. So who knows what happens there? But I mean,
yeah, this is literally a mashup of what a Bulls uniform would look like if it was a White Sox baseball, with the red background with the black pinstripes, black sleeves. Where you've got the black hat with a red brim with a cool retro flying White Sox logo.
My favorite logo of all time.
Yeah, I remember you were desperate to find that. It was a 1959 Sox logo or whatever.
Yeah.
You're looking for that cap for years, and you found it one day. I think I was there when you found it.
You were there when I found it.
You.
Yeah, I didn't even hesitate. I just grabbed the $40 cap and ponied up.
It's a good logo. I mean, the winged sock logo, it's pretty cool. So it's cool they brought that back. Now it's white and red.
Yeah, white and red with, I think it says Chicago White Sox on the inside, or Chicago. It says Chicago on the inside of it.
I think there's a bunch of different versions of that. The one I saw on the on-field hat was just the logo, just the sock and the wing, without any text. But I don't know. I've seen a bunch of different versions of that. I think those might be for merchandise sales. But these actually leaked about a month ago. I don't know if we talked about it or if you even saw that. I thought they were a joke. Actually, I thought it was a fake leak. Like, I saw these I think it was a month ago. I didn't think it was real. It just didn't look like what I thought a City Connect uniform would look like. But I mean, it literally takes the same arched Chicago lettering from the Bulls jersey, from the road jersey, and puts it onto a baseball jersey. So the red doesn't come out from nowhere, because the White Sox from time to time, you've had red in your logo or in your scheme.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that part makes sense to me. But I did not see the literal basketball mashup coming.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the timing is, if this was on the table originally and they canned it, I think part of the reason they did at that time would have been the Bulls were way, way worse than they even are now. And the Sox were, kind of, they were in that trend of like, we could win a championship right now. And they wouldn't have wanted to merge the two. Now the Bulls have slowly crept up to a better team. But I think even more so, it's the Jerry Reinsdorf legacy jersey, right? It's this jersey that represents the two teams he owns. And whether people know this or not, the United Center where the Hawks and the Bulls play sits at Madison, which is 0. But the stadium is built on the south side of the street. So the minute you walk through those front doors, you are on the south side of Chicago.
That's true. I never thought about that. I never considered that every time I went to the United Center that I was actually on the south side.
Yeah, so
it's a jarring thought.
Yeah, for all you North Side Bulls and Hawks fans, know that every game you watch, you're on the south side of Chicago. You fucking stuck-up pricks who badmouth us all the time.
And so ends our geography lesson for the day.
Yes. Nice. Yes. There you go. I feel educated. Up your ass. Anyway.
Angry geography.
I will say this. I don't hate these. I really don't. And the more I look at them, I'm like, I kind of like it in a way. But what I really like about it isn't the jersey itself. It is the amazing amount of alternate merchandise that can be found on Fanatics.
I think that all just launched this morning. I was getting emails like, 9 a.m. Here it comes.
Oh my God. I've already in a shopping cart. I just threw a bunch of things just to see. It's like $200 fucking worth of merchandise. There is a badass. You sent me the one cap, which is pretty cool looking.
That was crisscrossed socks, and it spells out White Sox in the center of it. I thought that was pretty cool. I feel like you've had that logo and version of that logo.
Exactly. Yeah.
For years? Okay.
Yeah, that was like in the 40s, I think it was. It was the blue cap. I think Vit and I both own that cap, actually. Throwing out Vit, little love for Vit. Anyway, the other one is there is an all black cap with block south side across the top in red lettering across the front of the cap with the winged logo on the back. I mean, it is fucking badass looking. So you put 2 caps in your cart. That's $88 right there. But then the t-shirts, the fucking t-shirts they've come up with, insane. I am telling you folks, this is going to make so much fucking money because there's way more. I'm not even really much of a Bulls fan, but like for people that are Bulls fans and Sox fans, I mean, this shit is going to sell like wildfire. This is a dream come true for the money coffers of MLB merchandising. Anyway, let's get to the jersey itself because I have lots of funny fucking ideas about this thing. I have something really funny to point out in the promotional materials that were put out. Do you want to hear that?
That's my favorite part. Yeah, I haven't read any of these, but these are traditionally why we do aesthetics, just to read these explanations of everything. So I'm assuming the White Sox did not disappoint.
No. Let's go with the neck. Let's start at the neckline. We're going to start at the top.
Well, let's start with, they're calling this, like there's a theme to it. They're calling it this Bred in Chicago.
Oh, yeah, you're right. We should start there. Bred in Chicago. That's right.
Which, seeing the combination of White Sox and Bulls, I just immediately thought of Inbred Chicago.
Oh!
Heyo!
Anyway.
Sorry. I digress. Go ahead.
Based on that, let's start off with the crossover tag. The crossover tag, a groundbreaking. First of all, it's groundbreaking. This is groundbreaking, folks. This jersey is groundbreaking, according to the marketing folks at Nike, at the Nike marketing department. A groundbreaking crossover uniting the NBA and MLB. This co-branded tag symbolizes the convergence of court and diamond. So there is a baseball diamond logo with Shy in the middle. And then the Sox logo is on the left and the Bulls logo is on the right. That's on the tag of the jersey. As you already mentioned, I'm not going to read this one, but the Chicago is the Bulls road jersey. Chicago lettering. The Bred, Bred cap featuring the Winged Sox logo. This hat honors the city's champions. Okay. Neckline features 9 championship years. We'll say 6 of those are the Bulls, folks. Yeah. A proud reminder of Chicago's history and toughness. Now, I gotta say, when you look at this, it's fucking hilarious because the Sox logo is on the left because just by default, because the first championship is 06. Then there's 17.
1906.
Yes,
and then 1917.
And then you jump to a series of red, which starts at 1991.
It took a while. A little bit of a drought there.
Through 91, 92, 93, break, 96, 97, 98. Yeah. Then there's an 05, and we're out. So this long historic history of championships in Chicago. Yes. What a joke. Okay, now we're getting into the reach. The pinstripes, Smitty. The pinstripes. This is what the pinstripes represent. The bold red pinstripes pay tribute to the Bulls, while the black stripes nod to the Southside's history.
Okay, this is that's really a stretch because I've never heard of a pinstripe jersey referring to both colors as stripes. The red is the background color. The black are the pinstripes. So I guess both colors are stripes, but I've just never heard it referred to that way. And the reason it was is because they wanted to draw in that bullshit connection to whatever expository reasoning they had for it. So congratulations on the copywriter for that. Well done, I guess.
Or you could say the bold red background pays tribute to the Bulls and the pinstripes are the White Sox, but whatever. Winged sock, a tribute to legends. This symbol soars, representing the city's pursuit of excellence. There's the winged stripe logos on the sleeve, also.
Oh, okay.
Big and bold. It looks awesome. Then along the bottom of the sleeve is South Side. Echoing the First City Connect uniform, it honors the heart and hustle of Chicago's South Side, symbolizing its resilience and generations who proudly wear these colors. So there's like a red band on the bottom of the sleeve, and it has South Side in block type all around. And then also, I didn't realize this does double duty. It's also along the stripe on the pant. So you got black pant with a red stripe, and in the red stripe, it says South Side all the way down it over and over.
More black pants. Jesus Christ.
Fucking don't wear it on a 90-degree day. Now, all of that, while, again, there's stretches here and whatnot, isn't even close to funny as the shoes that Luis Robert is wearing in a Nike ad. Because I don't know if you noticed this, but he is wearing, and I don't know how Nike did this, maybe Fanatics is running this, I don't know, a pair of red Adidas.
Oh, no.
He is wearing red Adidas shoes in a Nike City Connect ad.
Dude, you got to send me that picture that or retweet that or something on social media. I need to see that.
I'm going to tweet this on. I was waiting to drop the bomb on the podcast.
You dropped it
before I put it out there. I'm shocked. Maybe someone else has talked about it. And we haven't heard it yet on Chicago
probably
Radio.
You're not the only one, but yeah.
That's great. He is wearing red Adidas, and for whatever reason, it jumped out at me when I first looked at this, and I just started laughing out loud. I'm like, how can Nike, how could anyone who's running quality control here yet again allow someone to be wearing their main competitor's shoes in the fucking ad?
Just either like they didn't notice when they were taking the shot, they could have easily cropped it out after the photos were taken, and whatever ads they were placing it in, that nobody caught that is fucking hilarious. So congratulations.
Yeah, it's like a photo hunt at the old bar back in the day, circling the things that are wrong in the photo. There you
Nice.
go. So anyway, that's that. I guess what? It's probably time to vote.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, because I just had a bunch of error alerts pop up for no reason on this fucking thing again. Yeah, let's go ahead and vote. Put our votes in. Do you want me to vote first, or would you like to vote?
I've been doing all the talking on this bad boy for the most part. You can vote first.
Well, I'm gonna put 2 middle fingers down immediately. I mean, you know how much I hate the White Sox. I hate the Bulls even more. So combining those two is the worst bastardization of two franchises that I can't stand. I think it looks ridiculous. Like I said, the first time I saw it, I thought it was a joke as it leaked on the internet about a month ago. Combining a basketball uniform and a football and a baseball uniform is lazy and boring. It's also just a stroking of Jerry Reinsdorf ego, as you mentioned, just throwing out that adding the championships that Michael Jordan won him to a White Sox jersey is fucking funny. I think they just look goofy. I do like the flying sock logo. I think that's cool. I don't like the red. I guess is the big part. Your original hat with a gold wing looks fantastic. I could even see a silver wing on it. The most disappointing part of this is that they're replacing the City Connect 1.0, which I think is the best of all the City Connect uniforms. So just to make sure no one thinks I'm just biased against the White Sox, I think the Southside uniforms from 4 years ago are the best that anyone has done, including my Tigers or the Cubs even. I think this is just a huge disappointment. I think I am certainly not the market that this is aimed at. I think you're right. It's probably going to sell a shit ton of merchandise. From what I've seen, the merch does look cooler than the actual uniforms. So, but for the uniforms and from my perspective here in mid Michigan, lifelong Detroit sports fan,
Sports
2 middle
talk
fingers
fan.
down. Yeah, I am a fan of that as well. But
I
so what
am
do you got over there?
going one up and one down, and I'm going to give my
Wow. Okay.
reasons why. The down is, I do think in a way it's a little bit lazy. I also, the 1.0, it's a fucking perfect jersey. You could have maybe just tweaked accessories to that jersey for a 2.0 or something. Maybe change the hat or something. There's no reason to reinvent the wheel when you have perfection. Yeah. But there is a tie-in here just that goes beyond Jerry Reinsdorf that maybe I'm reading more into it than needs to be, but you've got my favorite White Sox logo of all time on here. So of course I'm probably going to give it one finger up. The extra merchandise too is great, but I know we're just voting on the jersey. But I think this jersey does a great tie-in with the fact that Michael Jordan played for the Chicago White Sox and he was Air Jordan. And that White Sox logo not only represents the Go-Go White Sox of 1959, which ran all over the base paths, but it represents Jordan flying through the air. So I'm okay with it in that sense. So that's where my one finger up comes from. But again, I'm with you, Smitty. When you nail it like that, there's no reason other than
merch sales,
which is
the whole point. So.
Which is what we're going to see from this. So we're going to see merch sales. So anyway, all I can say to you, as I'm going to give you a great segue into Detroit, is fuck your Pistons.
Well, it's interesting. It is a good segue into Detroit because Tigers owner Chris Ilitch also owns the Detroit Red Wings. So might we see a Tigers mashup jersey with Red Wings colors? Change the classic Old English D to a red color, and there you go. That'd be even lazier than what your White Sox just did, but it would probably sell a shit ton of merchandise. So frankly, that'd be a better look than the current City Connect uniforms, the Motor City versions they came out with last summer, which I think are, the more I look at them, the more annoyed I get. They had such an opportunity. I think they just look ridiculous. But that transfers me to Detroit, where I was present on Saturday for the first of doubleheader, first game of 2-game doubleheader, 3-game series against the Orioles. After which the Tigers swept on Saturday. That meant they had their best home start to a season since 1911. 114 years. This is the best home start they've had, which is just remarkable. I mean, that includes their World Series championship years in 35, 45, 68, and even 84 when they started out 9-0 and 35-5 after 40 games. So their home start was not even as good as what they have right now. So it's just an impressive feat, and with such a long history, kind of amazing. We talked about similarly how they're getting it done. They're getting it done with pitching and just enough timely offense. That was the recipe for what they did in the last 2 months of last season, which is kind of meaning that was not a fluke. They're still maximizing every little thing they can in the margins offensively just to do enough. Their bullpen has been lights out. Their starting pitching has been fantastic. They have 4 starters with a sub-3 ERA. That may have changed after Flaherty's flame out last night in Houston, but just a ton of fun to watch. It was a chilly day Saturday. We've had like 75-degree days last week and into this week, and that was like the one cold day. But kind of a blustery, windy, cloudy, shitty, kind of spit and rain day, but 4-3 win for the Tigers. That included Spencer Torkelson home run, very timely home run. A lot of great defense, specifically from Riley Green, who I was sitting down the first baseline. So he was right there in left field in front of us, made a spectacular over-the-wall catch, home run, robbing catch, bashed into the wall. I was always worried about Riley Green hurting himself because that seemed to be what he has done over the years, but he's finding a way to stay healthy. He had a diving attempt like 2 plays after that on a catch that also made me nervous, where he does the Superman landing, where he lands at all parts of his body at the same time to try to create the least amount of stress on any one part. But unfortunately, he didn't come up with a grab. But just fun times at the ballpark. They did finally lose a game. They were on a 4-game winning streak. They did finally lose last night. They got 5 runs basically off of 3 home runs. They didn't have a whole lot of offense, but the defense let them down, which is uncharacteristic. Actually, Trey Sweeney had a couple costly errors, and Flaherty didn't pick them up, and the bullpen didn't help much either. So that was kind of an anomaly. Hopefully that is not the case going forward, but lots of fun. The Tigers have the best record in the American League, which is, I kind of had to do a double take. Like, holy fuck, they're the best. They're better than the Yankees by a game. They're obviously up in the division, although the Guardians are hanging around, keep hanging around. Fucking annoying, but things are looking nice in Detroit right now. And we're going to get to our next segment here, where we'll talk about a lot more of the individual achievements when our badass of the month comes up. So we actually might as well transition right into that if you'd like, unless you have things to say about my first place Detroit Tigers.
It's just going the way I saw it. So that's all. I'm right. I just want to say I'm right about the Detroit season, and everything's going like I thought it would.
We both predicted them to win the AL Central. I don't think either of us predicted them to have the best record in the American League. Maybe you did, but
no. I wasn't that boastful, but I thought they were severely underrated by preseason predictions. In fact, I was shocked that they were considered. I know the season's not over yet. We're not passing out trophies on May 1st, but like somebody likes to think it is in fantasy baseball. But
do you want to talk fantasy? I'll talk fantasy if you want. My first place, Capital City Dirtbags.
I mean, I think it's
dominating.
I think it's to note that someone has slowly worked his way all the way up to second and keeps gaining ground in every statistical
you have lost
category.
ground to me. You've lost ground to me. You are now like 10 points behind, I think, which is unbelievable.
Six.
Is it down
points.
to okay?
Yeah, right. 6 points.
Congratulations to you.
Yeah. So just
there's your fantasy minute.
There's your fantasy minute. We'll stop right there. I'm winning this again. But anyway, Detroit's looking good. I mean, they're a fun team to watch. They were a fun team to watch during their run last year, and they continue to be a fun team to watch. We have a lot of tolerable baseball. Even the A's are tolerable baseball too. We have
Yeah,
all
they're over
tolerable.
500.
We all have tolerable baseball to watch on this good
Weird.
and baseball that's not just completely in the shitter to watch this season on this podcast. So it's crazy. But with that, I'm done. Tigers are the team I thought they were.
Well, I think we can explain why all our teams are pretty fucking good right now by the huge list of badass of the month candidates we have. It's a long list just because we typically do this per week and we forgot to for the first month of the season, but we'll make up for that by doing the whole month. But it's also because our offenses and our pitching staffs are really fucking good. So we've got all sorts of, we've got Tigers, Cubs, don't have any A's. We've got Giants, and we do have one White Sox on our list of candidates. So all over the place here. So I gave you a list divided between offensive players and starting pitchers.
Correct.
And I just ranked them by WAR. This is B WAR, Baseball Reference WAR. So that's not the end all be all, but that's how I rank. At least just put them in order for you. So I don't know if you want to go down that list or go up that list or however you want to do it.
I'll start at the bottom and work our way up. I'll start with our. It's funny. This list is so disgusting with the numbers that the least talented, the lowest ranked person is still like more than worthy for a badass of the month. So we'll start off offensively. Michael Busch, 1 WAR, 930 OPS, 5 home runs and 2 stolen bases.
Jesus.
Yes, 1.1 WAR. That's Mike Yastrzemski for the Giants who aren't privy to Hawks. 1.1 WAR, 888 OPS, 4 home runs, 2 stolen bases. Pretty him and Busch somewhat similar. Torque. All he had to do for Torque is say, "You're not going to play first base anymore." Oh, you bet I'm not. I am.
He's actually playing really good defensive first base too, which is, he was a little bit shaky in his career before this. He certainly lit a fire under his ass somehow.
Yeah, my God. Brilliant. 1.2 WAR, 929 OPS, 8 home runs and he's got a stolen base on this. This is crazy.
That's right. Had to throw that in there.
A member of my fantasy team, Zach McKinstry, 1.4 F4. Why does this one say F4?
It's a typo.
Okay. Are you fucking fuck your WAR?
Sorry.
No, I thought there was a new
Ron
stat.
Burgundy?
I thought there was a new stat I wasn't aware of. F4.
Well, that'd be Fangraphs WAR, but I didn't mean
that.
I just
okay.
All that. So.
Cool. 902 OPS.
Didn't mean to throw you off.
1 homer, 2 stolen bases.
I think the more interesting thing is the subject. Zach McKinstry. I mean, he's like a utility guy for the Tigers. Former Central Michigan Chippewa, mind you.
Yeah. He's
been like a bench utility guy that is just crushing it this season. It's fucking incredible. So I'm impressed that you picked him up on your fantasy team already.
Well, no, we're not going to go into that. Anyway, Carson Kelly for the Chicago Cubs.
This is nuts.
1.4 WAR, 1371 OPS, and 6 runs. What?
Carson Kelly is a journeyman backup catcher. He was the backup catcher for the Tigers last year. And he gets to Chicago and he's got a 1300 plus OPS right now. It's amazing what he's accomplished so far. I'm not sure it's sustainable, but certainly been fun to watch.
An individual we both thought was not going to see his best days in a Giants uniform, but Matt Chapman continues to do all right as a Giant offensively. 1.5 WAR, 787 OPS, 5 homers, and 4 stolen bases. Like to see that.
My analysis was horrific on him. I was happy the Tigers didn't land him in that offseason, and I couldn't have been more wrong about Chapman's decline.
Guy we talk about a lot here, a rental player for the Cubs named Kyle Tucker, 1.5 WAR, 976 OPS, 7 homers, and 8 stolen bases. Why the fuck would you want to re-sign that guy? Jung-Ho Lee, who I've talked about more than enough so far in the early part of the season, 1.6 WAR, 930 OPS, 3 home runs, 3 stolen bases. Pretty pretty good. And
Yeah, he's healthy.
someone else I was talking about earlier that, Smitty warned me, let's see what
It's
this
me.
guy has, don't get that excited, Pete. It's just like a week into the season. But Pete Crow-Armstrong, 1.9 WAR, 855 OPS, 5 homers, and yes, folks, he's really fucking fast. 12 stolen bases.
12 stolen bases.
I don't want to say anything, but at that pace, someone's record is in jeopardy.
Well, I mean, you look at, I didn't do the math on it, but he's on pace for what, 30 some home runs on like 80 something steals probably.
Yeah.
Like I know I just rank these in WAR order, which also calculates defense, which is a big part of PCA's game. Centering the defense in center field. I think I got to call him our at least my badass of the month.
You got no argument out of me. It's just staggering. Yeah. It's just staggering. This is a 5-tool player, guys. A legit 5-tool player. Not like he's doing everything and more. And it's such a huge leap from last year. This isn't even like a slow progression into the player. It's like he corrected everything that was wrong with him in the offseason.
You could see that it was there. I didn't think you'd put it all together this fast. The tools were there, but he's, I've had my issues with him over time. There's some maturity issues, I think. Stupid fucking blue hair with the stars in it this spring training. Like,
yeah,
just kind of a show off kind of a hot dog dude, but he's certainly putting it together on the field right now. So I think he well earned badass of the month from us.
Yeah, no argument here, man. He's insane. Watching the shit he does out there is crazy. It's fun. All right, let's get to the pitchers. We're gonna, speaking of the Cubs, Shota Imanaga, 0.8 WAR, 3.18 ERA, 1.088 WHIP, 27 Ks over 34 innings. Some pretty solid.
The whip is really the reason I put him on that list. That's an impressive whip, as the ball has been flying out of Wrigley Field this year at an alarming rate. He's keeping runners off base. So,
Jack Flaherty for the Detroit Tigers, 0.9 WAR, 2.63 ERA, pretty fucking good. 1.024 WHIP, 34 Ks over 27 innings. So
that's the impressive part, the Ks per 9. That is before last night's outing, so his ERA has certainly dipped from there, or may have gone up significantly from what that was. So sorry about that. I didn't get you new stats, but what can you do?
All right, I'm out. Peace. No, just kidding. All right, now we're going to wedge in with a 1 WAR, the guy that Smitty left off the list, and that's Rule 5 pickup the Sox got, Shane Smith. And no, I never found out what team that was. I can't remember. 1 WAR, 2.30 ERA, the most impressive whip on this list because it's under 1. 0.951 whip, 22 Ks over 27 and a third innings. So pretty good numbers for a team with 7 wins. Casey Mize for the Detroit Tigers, 1.2 WAR, 2.12 ERA, minuscule, 1.045 whip, 23 Ks over 29 and 2/3 innings. Good stuff there. Logan Webb, may have heard of him. San Francisco Giants, 1.3 WAR, been kind of the anchor of the staff for 3 years now. 1.98 ERA, sub 2. 1.101 whip, 44 Ks, yikes, over 36 and a third innings. That's he's done. He's checking all the boxes there. And then, again, the second year on my fantasy team, Tarik Skubal, Detroit Tigers. You may have heard of him. Cy Young winner. 1.4 WAR, 2.34 ERA, 1.038 whip, 40 Ks over 34 and 2/3. I mean, I think the discussion is it Skubal or Webb?
Well, Sunday, I failed to include in those stats that Sunday he had 11 strikeouts against the Orioles, 11 whiffs, strikeout swinging. He also had 0 walks and gave up 0 runs. That's only been done, I think it was 5 times in Tigers history. Maybe it's either 19 or 5. I don't know why I have those two numbers in my head. Remarkable stuff. I think this is bias and recency bias at its worst, but Sunday's performance puts Skubal over the top for me.
Yeah, I don't think. I think Webb goes today or something like that. So he hasn't
does he?
pitched
Okay.
again. Yeah, so I'm fine with that.
I think it's going to be back and forth all year between those two.
I was going to say, I mean, I'm sure Logan Webb will get the award 1 week this year,
Yep.
So, yeah, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with giving one of my fantasy team members the Badass of the Week award. So we are in agreement. Tarik Skubal, Badass of the Week.
All right. That was fun. We got to remember to do this every week now instead of or we could do it once a month too. Maybe that's what we should be doing. A larger compilation of stats. Well, I think with that, we can wrap up this episode 164 of Major League A-Holes. You can find us on the web at majorleagueaholes.com. You can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/Major League A-Holes. You can find us on social media at Major League A-Holes or at Sox Type Thing. You can find this podcast anywhere you'd like to find a podcast. So with that, I'm going to declare this podcast is over. Peace.
Peace. Peace.
Word Hole Media.